It's Monday, June 16th. I'm Macy Egeland. Only in Newsday, Suffolk County has launched a new probe into groundwater contamination. It's focused around the former Grumman plant in Calverton. The new survey comes after activists said the plume is threatening more private drinking wells. The county will look at properties that use wells within 3 miles of contaminated areas. Only in Newsday, pushing back against vaccinations. Some local pediatricians tell Newsday a growing number of local parents are questioning, resisting, or refusing to vaccinate their children for common diseases like measles, whooping cough, and hepatitis.
There also has been a lot of, I think people look online, they go on Facebook, they see what other people have done, and they're reading things that might not be scientifically proven. But they're out there, they're hearsay, and they're going by that more so than anything else.
That was Dr. Bruce Gerberg, who fears the trend could lead to a public health crisis for the region. A man is accused of storming the altar during a church service in Mineola. Police say Aldo Hernandez became irate, then pushed over and broke 2 religious statues at Corpus Christi Church yesterday. We're told they were worth about $10,000. Week 6 of testimony getting underway today in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The prosecution could rest their case this week in federal court in Manhattan. Combs could face life in prison if convicted. Voters on the North Fork will weigh in on a $5.5 million bond proposal tomorrow. It's for renovations at the Mattituck Laurel Library that would address infrastructure repairs. It would cost the average homeowner about $77 a year. Checking out your Monday forecast. Cooler today, and we do have some storms on tap this week. Let's take a look outside right now, though, at Main Street in East Hampton. Cloudy, cool, kind of damp out there on this Monday. Highs in just the 60s across the island. Cloudy with some light rain possible. Tomorrow, again, we've got those clouds, highs in the upper 60s, low 70s with more rain chances. Looking at your 7-day forecast, things do warm up on Wednesday, but again, another chance of rain. Look at Thursday and Friday, though. Beautiful. And finally, as we've been waiting for, a nice weekend, it looks like, Saturday and Sunday.
Long Island weather is brought to you by Fire Island Ferries.
The next stop for Amtrak, Ronkonkoma.
I can't, why would we need a train to go to Philly?
Under this proposal, Amtrak would run 3 trains a day all the way out to Ronkonkoma, also making stops at Hicksville and Jamaica, and connecting all the way down to Washington, D.C. Now, you might be thinking, who's going to be on these trains? Amtrak says it's more people than you might think.
There is significant demand out there for folks on Long Island to travel to Philadelphia or Baltimore or DC. They can take the train, but it does require a transfer. And what we at New York Penn, and if you think about our customer base, where these are people who have baggage, multiple bags, strollers, a lot of equipment with them. Not having to make that transfer makes a big difference.
Amtrak has been considering coming to Long Island for years, but recently took a big step by completing the first part in a 3-part program administered by the Federal Railroad Administration, which has to approve the plan. The next step, which Amtrak expects to start later this year, would involve coordinating with the Long Island Railroad on how it would implement the new service. Train passengers both at the LIRR's Ronkonkoma station and Amtrak's Moynihan Train Hall had mixed views about the plan.
I don't see why you just can't switch. Amtrak is right upstairs on Penn Station.
It's only a few hours away. Rather than getting in a car and driving all that way, it'd be nice to just be able to hop on a train and go down for the day even.
I'm in a long-distance relationship. I go to D.C. every other weekend, and I live close to Jamaica. It would be great for me instead of having to come here. But that's just for me. On a whole grander, on a grander meta level, it makes absolutely no sense.
Why do you say that?
Because there's not enough business or traffic from Ronkonkoma out.
Now, before you go booking that trip down to the nation's capital, understand that there is a long way to go before this plan becomes a reality, and plenty of steps that Amtrak still has to take, not the least of which is buying an entire new fleet of trains that could operate on the Long Island Railroad's tracks. In the Moynihan Train Hall in Manhattan, For Newsday TV, I'm Alfonso Castillo.
You can read more about that possibility on our website, newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. Only in Newsday, your health care could be in jeopardy. President Trump's big, beautiful bill threatens access to Obamacare for tens of thousands of Long Islanders. Newsday's David Olson looks at what the proposed changes could mean for you.
The Affordable Care Act, which often is called Obamacare, it would lead to a number of changes that would mean that millions of people across the country would no longer have coverage. And one of the big changes for New York is taking a large group of immigrants off of Affordable Care Act. Basically, it's people who have not been here as long as others. It would include, for example, the children who were brought to the country illegally and are now allowed to live here legally, and refugee and asylum. People have been granted refugee and asylum, and temporary workers, student exchange visitors, people like that.
Read more about what's at stake on newsday.com. Again, click Get More below that Newsday TV video box.
So, have you noticed it's been pretty gray and rainy on just about every weekend lately? The weekdays can be fine, sometimes even gorgeous. And Ellie Camilleri has taken note.
Yeah, it's pretty depressing sometimes.
William Miratello agrees.
Mother Nature, where are you?
Newsday meteorologist Rich Von Olin says for nearly the last 3 months, just about every weekend on the island has seen some sort of measurable precipitation, including this weekend. Though there were some breaks in the weather to get some practice swings in at the driving range, the whole spring, Warren Nelson says, has been unusually chilly and wet.
Too cool. We need warmer weather, for sure. It's a little too chilly.
So what's causing these unfavorable conditions on the weekends?
Come on, give us some sun. At least clear. Clear and cool would be nice.
Von Olin says the jet stream is on a 7-day pattern as the Earth circles the sun. And lately, we're just seeing a stretch of bad luck as the cooler, gray and rainy weather comes back the following weekend.
So when you get locked in a pattern, it tends to repeat over and over again. So when there's a rain day on a Saturday, 7 days later, that same rain day pops up again. And that tends to keep going until the pattern breaks down.
So can we ever break this cycle of gloomy, gray weather on the weekends? Well, the experts tell me there's a good chance that it could be changing very soon.
Next weekend and the following weekends, long range indicating sunny days are back.
Now that's some positive news, but for Denise Hartig, she says she just can't seem to catch a break on her days off.
Usually, if you want bad weather, find out when I'm off, and that's usually the bad weather.
In East Meadow, Andrew Enger, Newsday TV.
Catch the latest from Newsday in high school sports when Sarah sounds off.
It's the spring season and we're warming up. Boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, softball, baseball, track and field. Every sport, every game. And be part of the action when I take your questions. So be sure to email me, text me, hit me up on X, Instagram, make a phone call. We're going to have a great time all season long.
Sarah sounds off. Tuesdays at newsday.com/Sarah.
Check out more on all of these stories on newsday.com and watch us streaming anytime on Local Now, YouTube, and all of the other streaming services that you see here. I'm Macy Eglund. Thanks for watching. Happy Monday.